Good evening. Just like to say before we start that the guy who's on the show tonight's very apt, because I think a lot of people in our country, even today, would agree with what he attempted to do all those years ago, maybe 400 years ago. And maybe we should take some radical action against our politicians. Just my point of view. Anyway, this song's for you, Guy. Love is a burning thing, and it makes you sing. Yes, it makes you sing. Love is like a fire, a burning fire, a burning fire. I went down, down, down to the burning ring of fire, and it burned, 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 and the flames, they got higher. Love is a burning time. When times are wild, they gonna burn. Love is a burning fire, and fire grows higher, and the fire grows higher. Well, I fell to a burning ring of fire, and the flames, those flames, they got higher, and it burned, and it burned. Some days, you know, there are things that have to change. Some guys come along and say they're gonna change, but I don't know sure if it's right to do, but everything you try to do, sometimes it comes to a choice you have to make. But I fell into the burning ring of fire, and the flames, those flames, they got higher. And they decided to burn that man on fire, and that was a bad thing in every style. And he burned, burned, burned in that ring of fire, and he burned, burned, burned in that ring of fire.
Hey, what a tremendous performance. Well done. Thanks for a great performance from Steve Lahan and his Broken Dream. I'm Graham Wolstenholme, and welcome to another exciting episode of Time Tunnel TV. We've got much in store for you, for you lucky viewers tonight, including a special guest all the way back from 1605. We'll be getting inside the mind of the infamous Guy Fawkes, so turn your phones onto silence, lock up your doors, and don't go anywhere, because tonight we've got a blast from the past. But first, a very short documentary about the main man himself, Guy Fawkes.
But by far, the most nefarious conspiracy the Jesuits set forth during the Middle Ages was the gunpowder plot of 1605.
The gunpowder plot came about because when Elizabeth I died in 1603, Rome was very interested to have a Catholic monarch on the throne. And the Pope at the time sent the Jesuit provincial Father Henry Garnet of England 2 bulls which set out this strategy and urged him to ensure that no one should ascend the throne of England unless they declared themselves to be a faithful Roman Catholic. What happened, of course, was that James I, when he ascended the throne, he declared himself to be a Protestant, and therefore Rome decided that he had to be removed.
The instrument Rome would employ to get rid of the new king was a Spanish soldier named Guy Fawkes, a man whose name is remembered every year to this day, as the English burn effigies of him on Guy Fawkes Night. Why? Because Fawkes planted some 36 barrels of gunpowder beneath the Houses of Parliament, intending to blow up King James and the entire government of England. Out of the chaos that would follow, Rome and her Jesuit order had planned to re-establish control of the country.
Well, Guy Fawkes was, I think, what we would call a Jesuit coadjutor. He wasn't a Jesuit priest as such, to my knowledge, but he was a professional mercenary soldier, and he had fought in the Catholic army of Spain.
Fawkes was discovered just moments before detonating the gunpowder, in what the English people clearly saw as an act of God. Fawkes was publicly executed, as was his fellow conspirator, the Jesuit provincial Henry Garnet. But Garnet was not the only Jesuit to be involved in the plot. At the trial, the esteemed lawyer Sir Edward Coke said, "I never knew a treason without a Romish priest, but in this there are very many Jesuits who are known. Garnet in England, Cresswell in Spain, Baldwin in Flanders, Parsons at Rome. So the principal offenders are the seducing Jesuits, men that use the most sacred and blessed name of Jesus as a mantle to cover all manner of wickedness." Tupper Saucy writes that during this era, the play Macbeth by William Shakespeare was actually a so-called powder play, commemorating the gunpowder plot, and that Macbeth is an elaborate condemnation of the Jesuits as Satanists, murderers, and witches. But the year before the Jesuit plan was overthrown, Puritan leader John Reynolds had proposed that a new Bible translation be set forth. King James gave his approval, and the work began on the King James Bible. Was it just a coincidence that 1 year later the gunpowder treason took place?
Certainly, an expected outcome of a successful plot would be that all work on the new Bible translation, which was taking place at that time, started in 1604, that all that work would be terminated, and terminated permanently. There's no doubt in my mind that that is what the Jesuits intended as well.
But by the grace of God, the gunpowder plot was overthrown, and King James would survive to see the famous Bible that would bear his name come to completion.
Interesting stuff. And now, for the first time ever, we're here, his side of the story, the man whose legends lived over 400 years. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm welcome to the one, the only, notorious Guy Fawkes. Guy, what can I say? A story from, what, 400 years ago. And have you got any recollections of that fateful night?
I've got plenty of recollection from the night, but again, 400 years later, the memory gets a little bit thin. Some things I remember clearer than others, but I think you have to start where it all came from. It was a sign of the times. You know, I think now, because, you know, being dead for 400 years, you're still in touch with what's going on around the world. You're still sort of seeing how wars and how religions and that are affecting the way we live and the way people fight over territory or beliefs or whatever it is. And it was very much the same then. You know, there was a lot of this wrangling. England had just turned over to the Church of England, which Henry VIII had, you know, imposed, and the Catholics were basically being given a really bad time. You know, basically ostracised, witch hunts, and all sorts of things going. So I didn't grow up initially a Catholic myself. I was from a small town just outside York, and my father died at the age of 8, and I think that had a bit of an effect on me. So, you know, my thoughts were sort of, you know...
I mean, it's all to do with the monarchy going over to the Catholic side, isn't it, in a sense?
Yeah.
After Elizabeth I died in the year previous, and they put James I, who's obviously Protestant, C of E, and that was the way they were trying to go
Well, I think,
in
yeah,
1604.
I think James was conveniently Protestant because
Yeah.
his mother, Mary's Queen of Scots, as you probably know her, she was
Yeah, yeah.
Catholic. So again, it's all this sort of you know, plotting and sort of counter-plotting. Basically, what happened was we were getting a really bad time, and I tried to hold down a couple of jobs, wasn't very successful, and I found there was a little bit of money to be made as a mercenary. So I went over to Flanders to fight against the Protestant Dutch reformists, basically.
So who initially got in touch with you? Was it Robert Catesby, somebody like that,
Well,
actually got
Catesby,
hold of you?
well, Catesby was introduced to in Spain, actually.
Yeah,
so there was another guy, Tom Winter, I think he was called, and the Wright brothers, Chris and Tim, I think it was. And again, you know, you meet people and you start to realise that your beliefs are stronger than you ever thought they were, and it isn't only for the money in the end. You know, you're doing it because you've actually got a belief and you actually want to see a Catholic monarch come back to the throne, ultimately.
So I don't know how you see sort of religious wars in this day and age. A lot of it's to do with power and money, but obviously 400 years ago, 4 centuries ago, you're standing up for your beliefs, weren't you?
Indeed,
And
yeah.
That's the difference than it is today. I mean, can you tell us the night of the execution, or that when you actually got caught, you were just on the verge of actually detonating the whole gunpowder thing at the House of...
Yeah,
Parliament?
indeed. Well, so something, you know, things led up to that. So there was about 13 of us, I think, in this little group who made the plot to actually overthrow the king, because we were expecting to get the Princess Elizabeth in his place, you know, because we wanted a Catholic monarch back on the throne. So we managed to get, through a few connections, this little sort of cellar underneath the House of Parliament. And we started sort of sneaking gunpowder into there and some wood and sort of firewood to sort of hide the stuff.
Was that an easy job to get the stuff in there?
It was a little bit covert, you know,
Yeah,
generally
yeah.
at night and stuff, you know, under cover of darkness and stuff. But I say we stockpiled quite an amount of gunpowder, and as it transpires, I think somebody double-crossed us. I don't know who actually it was, but a letter made its way to the king that there was a plot, and the day before we were supposed to sort of execute this plot, so to speak. We were caught because the king was going to sort of bring Parliament back. He was going to turn up, so we'd have got rid of the Parliament and the king at the same time. 24 hours early, we get the collar lifted, so...
I'll tell you what, interesting stuff. What we're going to do, we're going to come back to you very, very shortly,
Okay.
and we're going to talk a little more about the gunpowder plot and what you've been doing in the last 400 years, because we'd all like to know what you've been doing for the last 400 years, I'm sure of that. Anyway, thanks for those few moments. OK, what we're going to do, well, thank you, Mr. Fawkes, we'll see you in a bit, but now it's over to Salvi and the latest from the ED News department. Thank you.
Hi, and welcome to this afternoon's ED News.
Who's he?
The Union Jack has been officially adopted as the flag of Great Britain. William Shakespeare has announced the first performance of Macbeth will possibly be held sometime in April. And the man who plotted to assassinate the king and blow up Parliament has been killed. Over to our UK correspondent Joseph Burke for more information.
Good morrow. I'm here outside the Houses of Lords, where just a few hours ago this morning, an assassination conspiracy plot was exposed. A suspect has been arrested and questioned on suspicion of high treason. The police have kept the investigation relatively quiet at the moment, but what we do know is the man arrested has been identified as Guy Fawkes, a Catholic soldier from York. We believe the suspects have made an attempt to assassinate King James and his Parliament. Just a few minutes ago, we witnessed a number of explosive specialists removing barrels of gunpowder from the building. As little as we know, it's clear that he was not alone in the act, and whoever the men behind the plot were intended to cause an explosion that would rattle Great Britain for hundreds of years to come. I'm Joseph Burke, outside Houses of Parliament. Now at 16:05, back to you in the studio.
Thanks, Joseph. Be careful out there. Now, in other news, the first ever newspaper has been published by Johann Carolus in Strasbourg. A Dutch navigator, Willem Janszoon, has found a new country. Currently, it's not named, but Australia seems like a possibility, according to reliable sources. Pope Leo the IX succeeds Pope Clement the VIII as the 232nd Pope. I'm getting news coming in. Jeez. Leo the IX has unfortunately died, apparently of dysentery. A new Pope has been selected. Pope Paul V succeeds Pope Leo the IX as the 233rd Pope. Here's hoping he's going to last a little longer than his predecessor. Well, that's all from us. I've been Salvatore Case Botelli. Back to you in the studio.
Very much for that, Salvi. And now back with our distinguished guest, should I say, Guy Fawkes, where we'll be getting a closer look at why he wanted to actually assassinate the king. We've already established that, but we're going to find out again what happened on that when you got caught and what was the next procedure after that. So you've had your collar felt. What's the next thing?
Yeah, well, I was going under a pseudonym of John Johnson at the time, and that's who I claimed I was. And again, I got a little bit of rough treatment, locked up in a cell. They tried the softly approach initially, but I wasn't giving anything away. And I believe the king sometimes later pointed out that he admired my resilience of not just spilling the beans, as we now say in modern life, I think. So I was resistant as much as possible, but again, when you start to get the manacles on and the torture and the real heavy stuff comes in, your spirit weakens a little bit, I've got to admit. So
did they torture anything before the execution? Was there any talk of what was going to happen to you? Were you aware of what was going to happen to you the next day?
Yes, I definitely was aware. And again, that was part of, I think, the fear tactics, the thing to sort of say, we can deliver you from this, we can sort of stop this pain happening to you if you give away your co-conspirators. And I say a man does weaken after several days of, sort of real harsh punishment. But I knew it was waiting. There was a horrible death in the way of hanging and being drawn and quartered. Which, well, basically they were going to hang me for a while until I nearly died. But basically I'd be passed out. Then they'd insert large hooks inside my anus, and then they would drag me by horses to tear my body apart, and then they would cut it into quarters and then basically feed to the pigs. Yeah, but I think.
Well, that didn't happen, did it?
No, it didn't happen actually. No, because I knew all this kind of stuff was awaiting me, and I must admit I didn't have the stomach for it in the end, so to speak. So I thought I could get an easy way out of this. So when they were about to hang me, I was up on the scaffold, and I saw an opportunity to basically get out of it. So I jumped off, landed on my head and broke my neck, which basically allowed me to sort of pass away before they actually hang, drawn and quartered me.
Well, recently, there's been films made about you, like V for Vendetta. What are your feelings on someone trying to make you into some sort of unsung hero type sort of thing? You've been like a martyr in a respect.
I suppose I have in some ways, but I don't know. I thought I was just a guy at the time doing what I felt was right for my country, for my religion, for my people. I thought, the oppressive Protestant regime needed to be replaced. And again, a lot of people I see now, say 400 years on, I've watched a lot of wars over the years. I've seen a lot of conflicts, and people are made into martyrs, are sort of given this status of being some kind of cult hero. But I just believed that I was doing the right thing for the country.
And what do you think every November the 5th we've celebrated in this country? We have fireworks and we have bonfires and we burn an effigy of yourself on this bonfire and all that, so,
Well, it's famous, it's infamy, isn't it? I've got this eternal thing that will always be celebrated now, I suppose, on the 5th of November in England.
It's not many people. I mean, we've had so many different people that have, the Hitlers of this world and Gaddafis. We're not going to be doing that with them. But very famous, and you'll stand the test of time, I dare say. And that's it. But before we go, did you have a wife and family? Did you do anything like that?
Well, as I pointed out earlier, I had a bit of a sort of rough upbringing. So my father died at the age of 8, and I sort of lost touch with sort of my roots and what I represented. Wandered a little bit, and didn't settle down in the end. I felt I had something to offer, something to give to the people of England, and that was my services.
Right, well, I'd ask you a lot more. Unfortunately, we are running out of time. we didn't ask you much about where you've been staying the last 400 years, but I'm sure it's no worse.
Oh, it's an interesting story.
Very well. Perhaps we'll have you back on another show. Anyway, thanks very much for that, Mr. Fawkes. Unfortunately, that's all we have time for today, but I would like to say a big thank you to Mr. Fawkes once again for making a special appearance. And now we welcome back the brilliant, the one, the only Steve Lehane and his Broken Dream for the final performance of the evening. Thanks again very much for watching. I've been Graham Wolstenholme. This has been Time Tunnel TV, and we'll see you again soon, in the near future. Okay.
I'd like to dedicate this one to also to Guy. And some people have regarded him as the devil. I say let's have some sympathy for the devil. This is for you.
Turn it up. Turn it up, Steve.
You got the devil in the works here. Please allow me to introduce myself. I'm a man of wealth and taste. I've been around for long, long years, and many a soul to waste. I was there when Jesus Christ had his moment of doubt and fear. Made sure that Pilate washed his hands and steeled his faith. Pleased to meet you, hope you guess my name. But what's troubling you is the nature of my game. Stuck around St. Petersburg when the Tsars set you free. Made that sure that everyone knew everything was near. I tried it out who killed the Kennedys, and after all it was you and me. The generals fight and it was just you and me. Pleased to meet you, hope you guess my name. What's troubling you? Nature of my game. I watch with glee when you're kings and queens, the stars they made and the fires they gave. For the gods that shouted out, I never want to play. Let me please introduce myself. I'm a man of wealth and taste. I laid traps for troubadours who got killed before they reached Bombay. Pleased to meet you, hope you guess my name. What's troubling you is the nature of my game. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Come, yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Pleased to meet you, hope you guess my